Okay, get this. I preloaded all the images for this video just for you. Let's start. Just bring it, you chuckle fucker. Enter name. Enter name. That's one real fucking gag you've got going on. You must have a very active imagination. Better knock that off before you're Nelson so fully you won't know if your body's contorted into salted twisty bread or if your limbs have always been this unattached. Your name is Taz. Just Taz. Of course, you do have a longer and more conventional name, as per your planet's time-honored six-letter tradition. You simply refuse to use it for the very justified reason of it fucking sucks. Is it Tasia? Yeah. Luckily for you, nicknames are a rather common occurrence, given the way that nursery accouchement golems drop you into the denomination lodge to piece together a personal moniker before you fully developed motor skills. Predictably, a good portion of the resulting designations end up being nothing more than unintelligible, jumbled letters with no meaning. Which suits you just fine, as it has let you coast along with your name of choice over the sweeps with nary a raised eyebrow. Your religious allegiance lies with the Mirthomaniacs, a specific breed of roughhousing wrestler-esque personas that wish to further their ideology of righteous judgment against those who would perpetuate the corruption running amok in the fabric of society. This is nothing but a duplicitous way of promoting their perverse, choreographed, infighting grudge matches in order to decide who truly deserves a spot at the top of the ladder with the blessings of the two above. You're more inclined to think of these matches as nothing more than a way to keep bias-fueled grievance slaughtering out of the public eye, but it isn't your place to say what's wrong or what's right. It is what it is. Everybody's got a price. You haven't made a persona of your own yet, nor do you intend to. You're not about to sacrifice your selfhood for a goofy chant and some tight spandex, even if you're meant to admire those who have done so. Despite this, you still hold a rather important position in the creed due to your inherited intimidation chuckle voodoo that is almost always active. You are also the disgruntled owner of an ever-increasing collection of rustic torture weaponry, most of which you've won as trophies. You spend a significant amount of time trying to figure out how they function in combat, so you can take your opponents out as quickly as possible. You have an unsteady relationship with the majority of your childhood friend group, which you more or less keep in contact with, the one exception being the one and only person who can somehow magically pacify your seething disposition. Your troll tag is pernicious overkill, and you speak in a manner that is way too abrasive for your own good. What will you do? Taz, pet the rock. Can't you see he's sleeping? You can't just do something like that to the brains behind your tag team duo. You refuse. He deserves his rest. You may not have a problem with disturbing people in most situations, if the circumstance calls for it, but The Rock is special. He's been with you for a long time, and you will always treat him with the utmost respect. Can you smell what The Rock is cooking? He's cooking rocks. Taz. Admire the poster of Hulk Hogan. The man himself. Starting from the bottom, Terrence Bollea was eventually tossed into a resent-grade torture Fort Key match following a disagreement with his hero and recently instated Fort Master, the champion of the Ruthless Expeditionary Knockout Tournament, over the worthless nature of his facial hair. Several gruesome hours later, he was able to murder his powerful assailant and take the key from his neck, emerging victorious and taking the Fort Master title for himself. All of this without activating his follower Chuckle Voodoo, not even for a second. A previously unseen display of martial prowess, one that has never been replicated since. After he was baptized with the blood of his former high brother, he gave himself the name Hulk Hogan, and got started on his rather ambitious quest to personally meet his makers. This story is common knowledge within the Mirthomaniac ranks. You know it, and everyone else knows it too, because the Hulkster goes on and on about the Hulkamania he's inspired every night on his talk show. You can actually hear it blaring from your TV downstairs right now, as tuning into the channel is mandatory. The guy has single-handedly overtaken the creed on ego and blind devotion alone. Not even his sacrilegious team-up with those harbingers from a rival faith did anything to shake off the spell he seems to have cast on his fanbase. And let's not even get started on the whole helping usher in a wave of demons from the horrorcore dimension thing. As much as you can respect his tenacity, one day you might just have to kill him for all this. Taz, examine weapon cabinet. Look at all that shit. I don't know what the hell that is. This is where you keep all of your options for taking down opponents. This collection of tools made for bodily destruction and generalized murder fests includes, but is not limited to, 1 long ball mace, your preferred weapon, 1 mouth gasher, 1 pair of skin-piercing handcuffs, 1 row of needlepoint gags, 1 torture fork belk, sans the actual torture fork, 1 palm decimator, and the most potent device of all, 1 ferocity weaver. This one holds special memories for you. All this and more in an easy-to-reach compartment. At some point, you've made it even easier to reach by breaking the glass with your fist instead of opening the door. Your younger self was quite the practical visionary. Okay. I think I can see, just there in the corner. I should really remember his name, but I don't. You know who it is. Taz, use Ferocity Weaver. Troll Vince McMahon. There it is. Ah! You got a little out of hand with the Ferocity Weaver. Taz, check damage. She's decimated at her sink. This isn't the first time something like this has happened. You've a rather nasty habit of making the same mistakes over and over again, against your better judgment. It's kinda your thing. It appears someone from the fodder is trying to message you. Weren't you set to incognizable? You're supposed to not receive messages at all with that setting turned on. It's not like this thing has ever performed its supposed function, and knowing who's talking, he'd probably found a way to bypass those settings regardless, even if they did work as intended. This guy is one of the better ones. You like him. Taz, answer troll. Spacebar don't work. Unclapsed Kahuna began trolling Pernicious Overkill. Hey, what's poppin', Clown Bounce? Let's get yourself tightened up and your jigglers packed the fuck in, cause shit do I got the light to ignite one hell of a fire inside your brain matter, ready to start going off when you start getting down. Do you really think it's acceptable to just message me whenever you want? I think it's clear I had my program on this setting precisely so that you could not do that. And yet you still did. You're lucky I was here to even see this. I was just about to take care of something more important and wouldn't have been able to get back to you for a while. What would you have done with yourself then? Cool, so you done now? What? No, I'm not done. Why don't you just fucking wait when you can plainly see that I am not done? You interrupted me when I did not want or expect to be disturbed, so you're going to deal with the consequences. Okay, so you're done now, and I'm just going to keep talking because it's my turn. God, fucking... Alright, I guess. So I finally completed my life's work here. Sweeps and decoding and uncrypting and searching for funny-looking rocks gave me some goddamn reassurance that this is actually a big league choice of action. Also, no offense to rocks, by the way. Tell little man what it is from me. Okay. Nah, I see you're still not getting the grand scope of all the pictures I'm tossing in your direction. It's like I'm just slamming pics and rubbing them all over and just smearing my good name so you can get the pics, but you're just standing there all cold-faced and big-breasted. You gotta let me work here, bitch Carney. The picture that I'd like to see is the one that shows me what the actual shit you're talking about. Talking up the fact that I put the pieces of the rigorous underground hell machine together and got clued into the matrix of eye-openers through. Well, let's just call my man here an informant. Knew him from way back when. Sourced me into my being, pretty much. And now he sourced me one more time for good measure, but he said this was my last tip-off. Hint that this place was rotten. Hint was that this place is rotten, and he said it with a narratorly tone of serious business, so I say he's not playing any games. But we are. We? Every single thing that you're saying still sounds like a bunch of pointless claptrap, which I don't want to hear. And I don't really think that I care anyways, but I'll give you, like, one more go at properly explaining why you're trying to sell me so hard on this. Got this all figured out, but I need you to pair up with high fructose for this, because you're getting dragged in whether you're in or you're out. You better not be talking about who I think you're talking about. Damn straight I'm talking about the Archman. Please do me a solid rep and get over yourself so we can get these balls moving fast, because we are on the clock. No, never. Not going to happen. Doo-doo. Taz, set online status to cloying. Oh well, the floodgates are pretty much open already. This program's so unbelievably shitty, your status wasn't making that much of a difference. Might as well leave yourself officially open to the rest of the crowd if they feel like going a little wild. Your Scorp theme is Hogan's Heroes. You really wish you could scrub all these befouled watermarks off and replace them with someone who's not a pious, ego-gargling sellout. Speaking of, Taz, go downstairs. Examine bar. On the counter, you notice 2 unopened bottles of pinfall fuel and an Ambrosian meat slab, cooked just the way you like it. Raw. It's fucking green. You can't settle in for a nice meal right now, though. You have an appointment, and that appointment consists of laying a mental smackdown in the general direction of a loudly televised, obnoxious in-group heresy. There you are. Deploy smackdown. Look at you, you filthy, degenerate piece of mat scum. You sold yourself out for the price of absolutely nothing, like some sort of leftover rotten food implement at the discount bin with misguided delusions of grandeur. Disgusting. This little trend you started of others mindlessly treading at your heels is as unctuous as the al dente grain worms you shove down the open maw of the gullible masses. You will fall. If not by the righteous hands of the 2 above, then you will personally relay a clean finish to the slate of this world and the next as far as your autocratic career is concerned. The go-away heat just keeps getting hotter for you. Taz, admire championship prizes. This belt is among the first of many you've taken home with you, in the 2-sweep time period since your professional bouts began. You have to begrudgingly acknowledge your status as a crowd pleaser. Most of your belts, outside those won for various key matches and scramble royales, are awards for high performance and outstanding technique. As the current fort raiser, you are expected to take your victim's borderline unrecognizable remains back to your hive for display purposes. You don't know the first fucking thing about taxidermy, though, so you decided to reconstruct and solidify his corpse with concrete instead. You do have a friend who's reasonably knowledgeable on the subject, but you're not exactly a fan of asking for help on the best of days. You'd like to think you managed doing a pretty good job regardless. Just like dripping concrete with the feet. Sweet. Well, it appears that you have a problem now. Taz, investigate Sri. What? Oh, you motherfucker. Your custodian really has the entire dynamic of your relationship ass backwards. She likes to think of herself as the semi-aquatic queen of your hive. Yourself, and also the entire planet while she's at it. Everything is her property, including the next match pick you had been stowing away in your fort for later, whenever duty called for the next mandated sacrifice. Poor sucker. You can't help but feel sorry that he wound up down there, and also here in general, with you. At least he looks a lot better than what would have happened once you got your hands on him in the middle of the fighting ring. His carcass didn't even land in the black depths. It wasn't always this way. Many centenalia ago, your planet used to boast a caste of aristocrats, whose duties included looking after the state of the oceans. During the Renaissance, however, these lineages were all but exterminated, viciously and without warning, by a self-proclaimed tyrant who wished to seize the throne and rule with an iron fist as the only one of his kind. Nowadays, the remnants of the old sea hierarchy barely amount to 1.1% of the world's population, and that figure is dwindling as is due to the general environmental collapse. Most bodies of water have only further degraded with the passage of time, your whole species eventually gaining an instilled aversion to any and all forms of it. There was a lawless period in the history of your planet where all manner of refuse, ranging from regular garbage to toxic waste and chemical mixtures, were unceremoniously dumped into the sea in the name of progress, using it as some sort of dross receptacle. As a result, you have to force your Lucis to stay away from her natural habitat. With no way to keep her mind from the call of the wild, she's become a horribly stir-crazy. Better this than the alternative. The cocktail of hazardous substances has mutated harmless sea creatures into monstrous cannibalistic carnivores that feast on the flesh of their own. Unholy beasts with extra eyes and wiggling appendages lurk in these brackish waters, waiting to strike at the slightest opportunity. One man, a tempestuous bout of assisted violence, and sweeps later, the world still has open wounds to show for it. Which brings you back to people like you. With the overpopulation of low-bloods running amok, someone has to thin the numbers out. Or so the creed goes. Reasons like these are why you can't bring yourself to care as much as you'd like to. Reasons like these are why you won't ever apologize for the necessary, painful truths you have to tell. Arcjek, recover. Doo-doo-doo. You can't be serious. My internet is not that bad. No! The static killed it. Shut the hell up down there. Glorious 240p. Look at that possum go. Oh, what? Oh, shit. I closed the whole window. Balls. Give me a new window. Just a new window. Damn, I suck. Alright. Give me like page 80. Yes! Excellent. It happened again. Arcjek. Inspect drawing. It's the only way. It appears we have quite a bit of catching up to do, as far as this young man is concerned. Moving this story along requires cooperation from both ends, however, so please bear with the gaps until it is time for them to be appropriately filled. Damn. What year is it? Squid Game. Ah, this is the spot where we need to be. Unlike some parties, this girl's been patiently waiting for her time to come, doing no wrong and no harm, as per usual. This past cryptic sequence has been quite unnerving, but the soothing atmosphere permeating her abode does wonders to take the latent underlying sorrow down a notch. Who is she? Find out next time when I continue the video